Order! Order! You are an incorrigible delinquent at times. Behave yourself, man!
All this week, Channel 4 News has been looking into the ramifications of the fake news phenomenon. But misleading information appears to go well beyond news and can sometimes be found at the heart of the platform the majority of us use to access the internet. When you start typing something into the Google search box, it offers suggestions, and at times these can be profoundly offensive. Journalist Carol Cadwalladr has been investigating why extreme and controversial ideas and results crop up and what, if anything, Google can do about it.
We don't search the internet, we Google it. Google is search. It has an almost total monopoly. 90% of all searches in Europe are made using Google. It now answers some questions directly. It even knows the question before you've asked it, a function known as autocomplete. But is Google reflecting our world or shaping it? So, if I type homosexuality, just take an example, this is the choice that Google's given me. Homosexuality is wrong, homosexuality is a choice, homosexuality is a mental illness, or homosexuality is a sin. So I'm going to try something else. I'm going to try feminism. Feminism is, and its top choice is feminism is cancer, feminism is wrong, or feminism is for everybody. In a Channel 4 News and Comres poll of 2,000 people, almost 2/3 said they used autocomplete at least some of the time, with 1/3 of all people and more than half of young people saying they sometimes clicked on autocomplete suggestions even if it was something they hadn't gone looking for. I've been writing about issues with Google search for a while. And one of the things that has most disturbed me are Google suggestions around the Holocaust.
Denial of the Holocaust is not a threat just to Jewish history, but a threat to all who believe in the ultimate power of reason.
Marla Tribic survived 4 death camps and was liberated from Bergen-Belsen. If you type the Holocaust is, these are the first suggestions that it gives you. The Holocaust is a lie, the Holocaust is a hoax. You didn't know about this?
I did not know. I'm shocked and I'm upset. And I just feel very aggrieved about it. It's painful for me to hear that. Google is actually promoting a lie, and it's helping the deniers to flourish and to expand and go on lying without any control.
But the issue is people trust Google. In our poll of 2,000 adults, more than 2/3 say they trust Google to give them reliable and accurate information, and almost 1/4 of young people have used a search engine autocomplete suggestion because they thought it offered the best results. I asked Dr. Martin Moore, an expert in the power of the media at King's College London, about the influence of Google's autocomplete. Does this matter? Is this influencing us, and what are the implications of it?
Yes, it matters. It certainly matters. I mean, those are the results that many people will see, not just obviously adults, but children. Even if they don't believe the results themselves, they will be left with a view that actually there are different opinions about whether it happened or not, rather than being a historical fact as it is.
It's not just the autocomplete suggestions that are disturbing, it's the search results themselves. Google has taken steps to improve results around the Holocaust. But if I go to Google now and type the Holocaust is, I'm getting 4 choices, the first of which is the Holocaust is a lie. The second is the Holocaust is a successful historical fiction. The third is the Holocaust is a lie song. And the fourth is the Holocaust is a hoax. And if I just do the return bar, the Holocaust is a lie, I am getting a whole list of denier results. This top one here, the fall of the Holocaust lie, that's a denier site. The entirety of the first page, apart from two of them, is to denier sites. So why is this happening? We have little idea, because Google keeps a tight lid on exactly how its technology works.
We only know enough about Google search to understand the kind of major factors that play into how Google ranks things, but of course it's their business model, it's how they run their business, it's how they sell advertising, it's how they target things.
Links to other websites are a key influence on Google's search results. Professor Albright has analysed how hundreds of fake news websites link to the mainstream news and information system. So were you surprised at, when you were mapping this out, were you surprised at what you were seeing?
Absolutely. In the beginning, I was shocked. I mean, I guess I've never seen a kind of ecosystem like that with so many smaller sites linking heavily into other media. You know, they were linking everywhere.
This has created a vast network of propaganda and misinformation, which is isolating mainstream media.
What's going on here is the left wing is kind of pushed into its own corner of the network, whereas the right is populated, it's more spread out, it's more ubiquitous across like all kind of ideological spectrums of this network.
Professor Albright calls it an information war, which the right is winning. At Oakwood High School, Rotherham, students have learned all about the Holocaust, but I asked them to do an experiment. So what did you start typing in Google?
I searched Auschwitz gas chamber and it came up straight away with Auschwitz gas chamber hoax.
It suggested hoax to you, did it? And then what's the top site? This is the top site you're getting. Do you know about them?
No, but they don't seem very official because they are again blocked. So they could have advertised on it or like profanity or something.
So tell me what search terms you put in for your search.
Is the Auschwitz gas chamber real?
And was that a suggestion, or was that
No, I did it myself.
You did
I wrote
that
it
yourself. And what? So the top website you're getting. Can you just read that out to me and tell me whose website that is?
Horror stories from the gas chambers of Auschwitz. David Irving's website.
David Irving is a notorious figure in Holocaust denial. In 2000, he sued an American historian for calling him a Holocaust denier. I'm finding your views quite despicable. He lost the trial and the judge labelled him a racist and anti-Semite. He now lives in the wilds of Scotland, but every day, he says, he gets letters from young people who find him on the internet. So here we've got, this is the log of emails that you've had from people.
They want to find an alternative history.
And this is what the young people, they're writing to you saying?
I've had a lot of letters like that in the last 6 months. 14, 15, 16-year-olds. The youngest have been 14, 13 I think yesterday, 2 or 3 years ago.
A lot of people who seem to be drawn to your work, they believe the entire Holocaust was a hoax.
They're the nutcases.
They're the nutcases.
Yeah.
So you don't agree with that view?
No.
So if I put Google into here. David Irving thinks the gas chambers at Auschwitz were a fiction. So what does someone reviled as a denier make of Google's suggestions? The Holocaust.
Yeah.
And then I write is.
Yes.
The Holocaust is a lie. The Holocaust is a farce.
Yeah.
What do you make of this?
I think it's scandalous. But that's what happens when you have an unbiased search engine. The algorithm, at the moment they created this list, the algorithm then brings up these answers.
And you think that's scandalous?
Yes.
Why do you think it's scandalous?
Well, because it's not true, none of it.
But this notion that the Holocaust is a hoax, what do you think of that?
It's wrong.
Google is our gateway to the entire sum of human knowledge. And it's profoundly troubling that these searches appear to be dominated by hate and lies. But what can we actually do about it?
I don't think Google can fix it, and I don't think they would want to fix it. If they were to take on the responsibility for evaluating the truthfulness or the quality or the absence of hatefulness or whatever it is that you're looking for, they would then effectively become publishers. And when they do that, their business model collapses because they're not publishers and they don't want to have the responsibilities of publishers. They don't want to be sued for defamation. They don't want to be sued for facilitating hate crime. They don't want any of that. We have to hold corporations to account as societies. If we don't, then we are in really serious trouble.
The scariest thing for me is not that Google hasn't fixed the problem, it's that maybe it can't. Every day, this network of propaganda and misinformation is taking over more and more of the internet. This is our brave new world. The world, according to Google's search, suggests feminism is a cancer, homosexuality is wrong, and the Holocaust is a lie.
And Google told us tonight, Holocaust denial is abhorrent. What appears in our search results is a reflection of content on the internet and not a reflection of the values of Google. Autocomplete predictions are based on searches previously carried out by users around the world. That means that predicted terms are sometimes unexpected or offensive. We have been actively working on improvements to our algorithm. We're experimenting with a new feature that allows people to report offensive search predictions. Well, joining us now to discuss what, if anything, Google should do is Carol Cadwallader, who made that film, and Danny Sullivan, a journalist who's written extensively about search engines, and who joins us now from California. Danny Sullivan, it was said in the film, this is all part of an information war which the right is winning. Is that a concept you agree with?
No. I don't know how you say the right's winning because I haven't seen a lot of searches being done to see what the left results come up with. So I don't dispute at all that there are some very disturbing results that you get. I think a lot of this stuff is abhorrent, but oftentimes I can do a search that perhaps if you were on the right and would be upset about, you get results that come back and it comes up and you're like, well, obviously they're not dominating the whole thing. One example I think was like, I had done a search for white people are, and it came up white people are inbred. And all the results that were dominating the results were for white people being inbred. And if the right is in control of this sort of thing, and especially the alt-right, white right, that wouldn't happen. So I don't really think it's just that the right just get to do whatever they want on Google, no.
But it seems, though, that from certainly our research, most of the results did indeed favor kind of right-of-center views on these things.
You've done a handful of searches for topics that you would expect should be balanced, and when you see that they're coming from the alt-right, you conclude that it's alt-right. If I did searches for other things that were, you know, perhaps the alt-right might not agree with, they might not be dominated in that sort of way. So I think if you want to make that kind of declaration, you have to do a lot of searches and really go through the results. So not taking away from the fact that the results that you get for some of these queries are terrible, the suggestions you get from some of these things are terrible, but the idea that the alt-right just does whatever they want on Google and just dominate and take care of everything with it from there isn't the case. And in fact, if you go back to what started, especially what Carol had covered, when you did this thing where you were doing a search for is the Holocaust real, the results have significantly changed on Google, both in part because they said they put in an algorithm change, but also because people who were saying these results are terrible have created websites that have pushed all the bad stuff out.
Okay, let me pause you there.
If the alt-right is that powerful, how did that other stuff happen?
Let me pause you there. Carol, did you attempt a left-wing search? I mean, the sorts of things which might upset the right.
Yes, but I think the main thing about this and the search that we focused on was that this was a factual search. This had nothing to do with politics. It was simply a historical fact, the Holocaust. And to get on every browser, on every device, on iPads, on phones, on Firefox, on Chrome, this was the result that we were getting. The Holocaust is a lie.
Well, to what extent then should anything be?
But that's not the result. That's not the result you were getting if you searched for Holocaust, which is what most of the people do when they search on Google. You were not getting results dominated by things that said the Holocaust is a lie.
But in which
what
case,
you were getting, and I agree entirely, it's terrible. But what you were getting were suggestions that it was, and if you detoured into that, as a small number of people do, then you were getting these results that were dominated, which was terrible. But that's not the same thing as saying I searched on Google and
Let me pause you there, because then the implication of what you're saying is that nothing needs to be done. Google can sit pretty and carry on with the algorithm it's got.
I didn't say that at all.
Well, but that is the implication.
You started by saying, well, the alt-right gets to... No, it's not the implication. You said the alt-right gets to do whatever they want on Google, and I said, I don't know that you actually have facts that prove that up. I totally agree that you have disturbing results on Google for all sorts of things, and then you have a big issue of, well, what do you want Google to do about that? And if you go to the historical fact thing, and if the question is, then we need to make sure that we get good factual information, it's very, very, very easy, I think, for a vast majority of people to say with the Holocaust, this is terrible, you shouldn't get something like that. But when I do a search for, is God real, the results that I get coming up from Google are all telling me how God is real without any factual basis for it.
Okay, well,
it's a religious query, but it's important, because if you're going to have a policy that says things have to be factual and provable, then what do you do when you have searches related to religion?
Well, let me ask
Carol.
Carol.
How do you decide
I'm going to ask Carol
what is the fact? Yeah.
What do you do then? I mean, in that situation?
Well, we know. When I wrote the first article, and we were getting at really problematic suggestions for religions, when I was typing "Are Jews" into the search bar, and the suggestion I was getting was "Are Jews evil?" and I was getting a full page of absolute anti-Semitic hate, Google responded and they said they refused to acknowledge that as a specific problem, and yet hours after the piece was published, they turned off that suggestion.
But I asked him what the implications of this were, and he said he didn't really. Well, I mean, I want to ask you: do you want really to restrict freedom of speech, freedom of the media?
Trying to predict what people are going to look for in the internet is not freedom of speech. It's absolutely trying to second guess them. And whatever is in people's heads when they go to the browser, if this is the suggestion that they're getting, that the Holocaust is a lie, the Holocaust is a hoax, then that is the thing. You don't even press the search bar. Your page instantly populates with those results.
Well, so it seems to me we've got a score draw here in which neither of you really have a solution to this problem.
Those are, you've got two, you have two different things, and they're significantly different things. There's the auto-suggestion stuff that comes up on and prompts these ideas, which has been a problem with Google for years. I wrote about it in 2011, and at the time I wrote about it, it was like, you really shouldn't be having these kinds of things coming up where you're reinforcing stereotypes.
And yet, Danny, we still are.
I've got no disagreement that they. I know, and I find that abhorrent, and I'm glad that at least they're finally bringing out the thing that they just announced today.
Danny
and
Sullivan,
we'll see that. But
we have to leave it there, I'm afraid. I'm sorry to interrupt you, but we've left ourselves as inconclusive as Google themselves, it seems to me. But thank you both very warmly for discussing it.